So in this case I have a black alcohol, Alcatraz. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of my garage life, I guess. And I'm going to do this headliner reupholstery video again. I'm going to do sunroof headliner. That's what it is, but it's basically just this panel, this cover that slides in and out to actually block the sunlight going through the glass itself. And I'm going to, cover more details, and I'm not going to skip any steps. So if my previous video is not good enough to somebody, then this should actually be something better or something that you should watch. In this case I have an anthracite color headliner already. Well, it doesn't make any difference, you can have any color headliner, except that the plastics you have to match if you're doing Alcantara 9002. There is nothing on this side, so you don't have to really worry about much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this handle, and then I'm going to peel the fabric off, and then I'm going to clean everything up, and I'm going to use this piece of fabric to glue on instead of what we have here. This is 9002 foam backed Alcantara. You need about 17 inches, I would say 18 inches by approximately 30 inches. That's about 45 centimeters by approximately 75 centimeters. One thing that why it needs to be extra is because this fabric folds a little bit over at a 90-degree angle on the back side. These sides don't have any fabric, so you can trim it. This part is where the fabric folds 180 degrees, and this is the forward edge of this headliner. Well, I guess in this case I have barely enough. Lengthwise, I don't know what I was thinking. And we're going to start. The first thing is to remove this handle, and as you can see, that's the pry tool or clip removal trim tool. And this thing doesn't have screws, doesn't have any screws, clips or anything. You just basically just do that. Just slide the edge of this tool, and I guess it seems like it works better if you start with the forward edge like that. So this comes off, and there's nothing really to hold this in place except for these small tabs. So this is going to be reused, of course. Look how nice this thing. I'm going to try and repeat this, right? I'm going to trim this recessed area just the way this factory shape is. I'm going to mask this part from spraying glue on. So that's one tool that you need to use, and then we are going to go into fabric peeling. And that's what happens when you peel fabric. So the next thing that you do, you peel fabric off, and you end up with something like that. Really nasty and messy thing. This looks awful actually. Yeah, so this is a foam backed fabric, and as you can see, here's what's left of it. This is foam, or what's left of this foam. And there's a little bit of that's some kind of a fabric too. This looks sticky. So I highly suggest to use gloves because all of this is sticky and messy, and yeah, and this foam, as you can see, you press, it's old and it's disintegrating, so terrible. Gloves on, and in this time I'm going to try and use a brush. This is a steel brush, and I'm going to try to use this because last time I used some kind of a scraper tool. This brush, well, it's scraping, brushing off this foam nicely. So what's interesting here is that under this foam there's more backing. This is some kind of a fabric, and I think we still need to peel that off too. So basically we have to get to the bare plastic. That's what this thing is. So this fabric, what I don't like about this, it seems like this brush starts to dig into this fabric. Let me try that scraper tool. Well, I guess you always learn something. That's the life. There is this a layer of backing fabric backing left. So it's like 3 layers: the face, the foam, and the fabric backing. And so I removed the foam with this, like I showed with the brush. I tried to brush off the fabric. It was not much fun. I got my scraper and I started to remove that. It kind of works. If you pick up an edge right here and just start pulling it and just go over and kind of help, and it kind of works. I got a whole bunch of this. And then what crossed my mind was that this is all sticky, and I'm like, hey, this is some kind of a glue, and a glue that is not really permanent too. So what crossed my mind was, why don't I try some kind of a chemical, I guess, to try and remove that glue, or at least whatever, melt it. So I got a can of I think this is acetone. Yeah, this chemical is really not the best. So you better have a respirator or something, so you don't breathe this, or you have a ventilation and all. And what happens is, if you just soak an area with acetone, then you can just basically take this fabric and it just comes off. You don't even have to really use any scraping tools or anything. You don't have to even really try hard. And that glue just melts, dissolves. Acetone in this case works miracles. You can see that this is just peeling off like that. So I guess I just discovered a better way of removing this fabric, or what's left of this fabric. So I'm going to just do that. This I shouldn't even even have tried with the brushes and all, because just look how clean this comes off. That's just right there. That's just that's a miracle, really. So I guess I will just keep going with this acetone. I guess I'll do this. Well, this stuff also smells terribly. So you do have to have some kind of a ventilation, like I said, or a respirator, because this just, and gloves, of course. Oh, this is nasty. And acetone evaporates fast. I better get a respirator. This stinks. Yeah, it's not a good idea to breathe anything like that, any chemicals like that. Yeah, that's super clean. So I'm going to go get a respirator and I'm going to finish cleaning this. But the idea is to just use more acetone and just melt this away. That's what I will do. I will just finish this, and then the next step, so there's nothing else to really say about this, just get the plastic clean, and then the next step is going to be spraying the glue. So once you clean everything up, you cut your fabric to size. I masked this handle opening so I don't get any glue in there, and I masked these 2 springs on the side so I don't get any glue in that too. All of this is clean, dry. Why it's important to have everything super clean is because your new glue is not going to really stick to anything that is still sticky. Why do I have... Oh, that's no fun. I still have some old glue here. I'm probably overdoing it. that's a little bit of old glue. No, that looks clean. Like super dry and super clean. Yeah, we didn't do it, our hands are clean. So once everything is dry and clean, you're ready to spray glue. This thing is heavy enough, so I don't have to clamp it down. I'm going to just spray the glue over it. This fabric, on the other hand, has to be kind of taped down because of a couple of things, really. The major one, I think I did mention before, is that the spray gun is actually getting about 40 psi pressure out, and this can flap and create a bit of a mess if you're not careful. Specifically, if the edges start to lift up, you may get the glue over the face of the fabric. That's not good. And in this case, I'm going to spray the corners or the edges. I'm going to spray them carefully because the fabric hasn't been cut. Well, it's cut precisely, too precise of a cut. So, okay, in any case, that's two things. This is taped down. This is going to be, that's going to be fine the way it is. And again, I'm going to, where the fabric folds over, I'm going to go over with a brush and apply the glue with a brush, and that's going to be a different step. So now I'm going to get the respirator on, and I'm going to hook up my spray gun to my compressor, and I'm going to just spray the glue over the fabric and the plastic. Okay, I finished spraying the glue, and as you can see, I did two coats basically, well, roughly, and I did a crisscross pattern. I sprayed this way first, and then I went 90 degrees to that pattern, to the first coat. The foam or the fabric, this glue spray has to be super uniform. You cannot have like patches or heavy areas, because that's important. This is going to be super critical because of the foam. So now the plastic is not that critical because, well, it is important, but it's not as critical, I guess. So it's also important to have a uniform glue coverage on the plastic part itself. And I'm going to wait for a few minutes, I guess, until the glue dries up. It's a little bit, it's not really cold at all, but it's not as hot as it used to be a few months ago, and the glue doesn't dry as fast. And you can tell that the glue is, and I probably can remove this. So we'll wait until maybe another 5-10 minutes until the glue is really not sticky anymore. So once the glue is dry, I'm going to flip this, or basically just take this plastic part and just lay it over the fabric, and that's where the two pieces will, that's when they will join. So I think the glue is ready, and I am ready to join these two pieces together. Ready to do it. So I'm just going to keep the fabric just the way it is, and I'm going to lay this piece over. Well, do I have enough? Do I have enough? That's the question. So I'm just going to press this down like that. And basically at this point I can lift it up. Now I have to just press the fabric. Yes, you can use a roller really, because this fabric has foam, so you cannot really use anything hard. Well, in a sense that you cannot. You do have to apply a certain pressure for the glue to activate, but you can also, you cannot really overdo it. That's the thing. So, well, it's kind of, I guess, depends. No, it doesn't depend. But in any case, you have to apply pressure over this, like that. And what I was trying to say was that you can use a roller or some other tool to roll over the fabric, and that's probably a good idea to do. And that's basically the result. You do have to apply enough pressure and uniform pressure all over the fabric for the glue to activate, and that's important because any spot that you don't apply pressure over is not going to really make the glue stick properly, and that's important because you don't want to really see anything sag or separate later on. I think this looks good enough. I'm still not a fan of this foam backed fabric. I'm going to now use a brush and I'm going to apply a bit of a glue over the edges, this edge and the back side, and then I'm going to fold this over like that. This is the glue. This is I have a brush, and I'm just going to go across this edge with the glue. What's important is to have glue on the edge, because we already have glue on the fabric, but the edge wasn't sprayed. If I masked the back side, I could have I suppose I could have just sprayed the edge too. And this is the edge where the fabric folds over. This is the forward edge of the headliner. Sunroof headliner. BMW calls it sunroof headliner for some reason. Again, these surfaces have been cleaned and dried and everything, so. And the other thing is, if somebody says that BMW's fabrics, interiors, plastics and such is low quality, it's not exactly like that. What it is, it's basically the quality of this fabric and for example, and the other plastics is such that you have a certain number of service life for a car, and then well, Germans care about disposability, I guess, so it's all recyclable. They expect you to drive your car for a few years and then get a new one and recycle the old car. So, I don't know, 3-5 years, that's what in general the intention is. No one really expects, well, at least the manufacturers don't expect you to drive your car for 25 years, and that's what, these are 20 years old cars now. This is E46. That's an intentional reduced limited lifespan for, I'm looking for a word or a phrase, I forgot, I know what it is, I just cannot remember it. And at this point the edges are, the glue is dry or cured already, so I can actually start folding the fabric. And I'm just going to do it like that. I'm pulling on it because it's got foam and I want to really kind of collapse the foam. I'm going to do the same here, but this folds over 180 degrees. Do your best, I guess. Well, no one is going to see it really. A tool like this, I'm not going to say that you can use a credit card, but some people do use that for vinyl installation and such. I don't, because credit cards are not rigid enough, I guess. and I'm just going across. I'm going to just be pressing. If I don't have enough glue, I can always reapply it like that, and of course I can go over this by pressure. That's this, and the next thing is to take a blade and just trim. So the last step with this process is going to be to trim all the excess of material on the edges, and we have the back side that has to be folded over 90 degrees like this, and this needs to be trimmed just even with the back side of the panel. So I'm going to just basically go ahead and get a different blade, I guess. Well, let's see if this blade is any better. Don't like how it's cutting. Not good. So I'm going to use this X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to replace this blade again. You always have to have a sharp blade, otherwise it's just a pain and you're not getting the result. So this one I'm going to trim on the edge. Well, no one is going to see it, but I still want this to be a professionally looking result, so I'm going to trim this as even as possible. This front part, it folds over 180 degrees, so this edge is kind of, I mean, it's 180 degrees folded, and that's about half an inch here, about 10 millimeters. So this I'm going to just trim like this. There is a natural crevice, I guess, that I can just follow with the blade. Always, no, never go out in a blizzard. So always cut less, and then if you still have too much left, then just cut more. That's the rule here, I guess. Finish this by trimming or just removing this glue excess. And then we have this edge that also has to be trimmed. Just how do we trim it? We trim just like that. What's wrong with these blades? Oh yeah, that's definitely a better cut. So we go all the way into under these like this. If I flip this over, what's left is just this little bridge here, like that. If your blade slips into this fabric that you just attached or installed, it's going to be a disaster. Yeah, this thing is going to be really hard to redo. I would probably not even try to redo this. I would probably buy a used, if something got messed up, I would probably buy a used part again and just remove the factory fabric and redo it, because otherwise it's going to be a pain. This fabric is going to be a pain to remove. And the last thing that's left is this handle. I'm going to find and fill I'll cut the center first, and then I'm going to find edges. It's already not cutting, so I'm just trying to make this look really nice, even though no one is going to see it. So this is basically the pocket for this handle, and I should probably try better. I don't want I don't want to hear any complaints about my job quality. That's fine. And then this handle goes in here like this, and as you can see, you don't really have to be too careful, because as long as the fabric is within the pocket perimeter, then it's going to be fine. So that's what it looks like. This is the handle. It covers the fabric. It just, no one can see the edges. So, and this edge right here, again, that's how this is. There is a few wrinkles here, but that's not a big deal. A little bit, I can add a little bit glue on this edge. This is cut this way. This one, the back side is folded over 90 degrees. And this is the side that faces up, so the sun always gets onto, through the sunroof, through the glass onto this surface. But no one is really going to see it ever, in a sense that, well, just because it's old and it never hurts to clean things up, because this probably is the only time when this can be cleaned. Dust gathers on this surface and the sun always beats on it. If you feel fancy, you can actually, it could be fun to just lay this over with some kind of a whatever, protective film or something. I was actually thinking taking a piece of 3M Dynoc carbon fiber or something like that and just covering this. So looking through the sunroof, you would see some carbon fiber type of can I see it? So yeah, I can actually show on my car what this looks like. And just to give you an idea what it looks like, this is not E46, but it's my car, E90, and the same idea, the same concept. So this is the glass that is tinted, and this is the sunroof headliner, and mine is still gray. Probably this edge kind of matters or is important, but if the fabric is black, then that's not really that visible. So I guess this just, what I'm trying to show is that this really is important to make this edge really nice and straight, and also clean up that glue overspray or whatever you have, and make it look a bit nicer, because this might actually be visible at some point. I think my brother's sunroof is much more tinted than this, so it's almost well, zero transparency really. Mine, I think, is stock, and that's why I can see the headliner, and this surface, that's the surface that I was talking about. So it's, if you actually put a piece of like a whatever fabric even, that might actually improve the look. This should be it for this part, and this is the final result. This fabric, of course, it's weird in a sense that it's like this. That's 9002 Alcantara original. The backside, the edges, so all of this. So this should be it for this, and yeah, that's how it's done.